Alexander the Great's Conquests, a 5,000-word historical review. Introduction. Few figures in history have left as indelible a mark on the world as Alexander III of Macedon, better known as Alexander the Great. Born in 356 BCE in Pella, the ancient capital of Macedonia, Alexander was tutored by the philosopher Aristotle and succeeded his father, King Philip II, at the age of 20. Over the next 13 years, until his untimely death at the age of 32, Alexander led an unprecedented military campaign across the known world, creating one of the largest empires in history, stretching from Greece to Egypt and as far east as India. This review delves into the historical context, major campaigns, military strategies, political implications, cultural exchanges, and the enduring legacy of Alexander the Great's conquests. Historical context. The geopolitical landscape during Alexander's ascent was one of shifting alliances, emerging empires, and the decline of older powers. The Persian Empire, under Darius III, was the dominant force in the Near East, but internal strife and the decentralization of power had weakened it considerably. Meanwhile, Greece had been embroiled in the Peloponnesian War, and the city-states were divided and exhausted. Philip II had begun the process of unifying the Greek city-states under Macedonian hegemony through diplomacy, military might, and the establishment of the Corinthian League. Upon Philip's assassination in 336 BCE, Alexander inherited a powerful, well-trained army and an ambitious political framework. Despite initial revolts in Thebes and Athens, Alexander swiftly consolidated his power, setting the stage for a campaign that would reshape the ancient world. The campaigns, from Macedonia to the Indus. Alexander's conquests can be divided into several major phases: the Balkan campaigns, the Persian campaign, the Egyptian campaign, the conquest of Central Asia, and the Indian campaign. 1. Balkan campaigns. Alexander began by securing his northern borders. He led expeditions against the Thracians, Illyrians, and Triballi to prevent rebellion and secure supply lines. His decisive victory at the Battle of Mount Haemus and subsequent campaigns ensured stability in the region. 2. Persian campaign. The real campaign began in 334 BCE when Alexander crossed the Hellespont into Asia Minor. At the Battle of Granicus, he defeated a Persian satrapal army, opening the way to Asia Minor. The victories at Issus, 333 BCE, and Gaugamela, 331 BCE, were critical. At Issus, Alexander's forces overcame a numerically superior Persian army and captured Darius' family. Gaugamela, the most decisive battle, led to the collapse of the Achaemenid Empire and Darius' eventual assassination. 3. Egyptian campaign. In 332 BCE, Alexander entered Egypt, where he was welcomed as a liberator. He founded the city of Alexandria, which would become a major cultural and economic center. In a symbolic gesture, he visited the oracle of Ammon at Siwa Oasis, where he was declared the son of Zeus-Ammon, reinforcing his divine status. 4. Central Asia and the Afghan campaign. The conquest of Bactria and Sogdiana was among the most grueling parts of Alexander's campaign. The resistance was fierce, and the terrain challenging. Alexander married Roxana, a Bactrian noblewoman, in a strategic move to gain local support. He employed a combination of military force, diplomacy, and assimilation to secure the region. 5. Indian campaign. In 326 BCE, Alexander crossed the Hindu Kush and entered the Indian subcontinent. His most notable battle here was the Battle of the Hydaspes against King Porus. Despite Porus' use of war elephants, Alexander's tactics secured a victory. He respected Porus' bravery and reinstated him as a satrap. The campaign was halted at the Hydaspes River when his troops, weary and homesick, refused to march further east. Military genius and strategy. Alexander's success can largely be attributed to his military acumen. He inherited the phalanx formation from his father but improved it with increased mobility and combined arms tactics. He used cavalry effectively, especially the companion cavalry, which he often led personally. His ability to adapt to different terrains and enemies was unparalleled. One hallmark of his strategy was psychological warfare. He spread rumors of his invincibility and used bold tactics that demoralized opponents. He also practiced rapid, forced marches to achieve surprise. Alexander's leadership style, leading from the front, earned him the loyalty of his men but also exposed him to significant personal risk. Political and administrative policies. Alexander's empire was vast and culturally diverse. To manage this, he adopted a policy of fusion. He retained local officials and customs, incorporated Persian soldiers into his army, and encouraged intermarriage. The mass wedding at Susa in 324 BCE, where he and his officers married Persian noblewomen, symbolized this approach. He established numerous cities, most famously Alexandria in Egypt, to serve as administrative centers and hubs of Hellenistic culture. These cities became melting pots of Greek and Eastern traditions, facilitating trade, governance, and cultural exchange. However, his attempts at cultural integration were met with resistance, especially from his Macedonian officers, who viewed the Persian customs with suspicion. Tensions grew, leading to purges and executions, such as that of Parmenion and Clitus. Cultural impact and Hellenization. Alexander's conquests initiated the Hellenistic era, characterized by the spread of Greek language, art, architecture, and philosophy across the former Persian Empire. Greek became the lingua franca of the region, facilitating communication and administration. This era saw the fusion of Greek and Eastern elements, evident in art, religion, and urban planning. The Library of Alexandria, established after his death, became a center of learning and preserved much of classical knowledge. In religion, syncretism flourished. Greek gods were equated with Eastern deities. For instance, Zeus-Ammon represented a blend of Greek and Egyptian theology. Alexander himself became a semi-divine figure in various cultures, particularly in Eastern traditions where he was integrated into myth and legend. The death of Alexander and the division of the empire. Alexander died in 323 BCE in Babylon under mysterious circumstances, possibly fever, poisoning, or genetic disorder. He left no clear heir. His only son, Alexander IV, was born after his death. His death plunged the empire into chaos. The Diadochi, or successor wars, saw his generals carve out separate kingdoms: Ptolemaic Egypt, Seleucid Asia, Antigonid Macedonia, and others. Though politically fragmented, these Hellenistic states preserved and disseminated Alexander's legacy. Positive and negative reviews of Alexander's conquests. Positive aspects. Military prowess. Alexander's strategic brilliance and battlefield leadership remain benchmarks in military history. Cultural integration. His policy of fusion promoted unprecedented cultural exchange between East and West. Urban development. The foundation of cities like Alexandria fostered long-term cultural and economic development. Spread of Hellenism. Greek language, science, and philosophy spread widely, influencing subsequent civilizations. Visionary leadership. Alexander dreamed of a unified world and pursued policies to integrate diverse peoples. Negative aspects. Destruction and death. His conquests caused widespread suffering, destruction of cities, and loss of life. Imperial overreach. The empire's size made it unsustainable and vulnerable after his death. Autocratic tendencies. Increasingly, he adopted autocratic, even deified, styles of rule that alienated many supporters. Cultural tensions. His push for integration often created resentment among both Macedonians and conquered peoples. Power vacuum. His failure to appoint a clear successor led to decades of conflict and instability. Legacy. Alexander's legacy is multifaceted. Militarily, he is studied as a tactical genius. Politically, he demonstrated how to govern a multicultural empire, albeit with flaws. Culturally, he initiated a new era of globalization in the ancient world. He is a polarizing figure, celebrated as a visionary and criticized as a conqueror. Yet, his influence is undeniable. His life inspired countless leaders, from Julius Caesar to Napoleon. In literature and folklore, he appears in the Alexander romance and Islamic traditions as Iskander. Modern evaluations of Alexander consider both his achievements and the cost of his ambition. His campaigns brought unprecedented cultural exchange but also immense suffering. His dream of a unified world under one rule never fully materialized, yet the echoes of that vision influenced empires for centuries. Conclusion. Alexander the Great's conquests were a turning point in world history. They marked the end of the classical Greek era and the beginning of the Hellenistic age. Through military brilliance, bold vision, and cultural integration, Alexander reshaped the ancient world. Though his empire did not survive intact, the changes he set in motion endured for centuries, influencing civilizations across Europe, Asia, and Africa. His legacy remains a subject of fascination and debate, a testament to the enduring impact of one of history's most extraordinary leaders. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.